Jeffrey contributes nothing to his tribe.
Slow down, you're making me feel bad. Why are you working so hard? That's weird.
He's useless. He does nothing to help himself, his family, or his friends. Jeffrey is a consumer, a materialistic spurg. He does everything wrong. He doesn't act like a man, and yet he wonders why he doesn't get the same rewards that men do. He's pissed off because he struggles with women, because he's not making much money. But he doesn't realize that being weak and useless is the exact reason why he doesn't have the life that he wants. I've lived both lives. I've been a complete and utter weak, undisciplined, no willpower, addicted to video games, social media, you know it. And recently I've been trying to get stronger, more disciplined, having virtues and honesty, leadership. I'm telling you right now that it isn't even comparable. That the people in this group who say that they're totally fine, who say that they just play 1 hour of video games a day, I'm telling you right now that they aren't happy with their lives, but they're just too weak and too content and too satisfied to change, to improve. I used to think that there was nothing else to do, that the best day was just waking up, eating junk food, like so much sugar, and just playing video games. The most productive thing that I at least started was going to the gym. But apart from that, I would spend the entire day just lying to myself and saying, yeah, there's nothing else productive that I can do. There's nothing else, that I can do. So I may as well just play video games. And I fear that so many young men are in this position because you're just so addicted to the modern technology around us. Adonis. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. He looks around at the weak and useless men of today. He wants to help them, but they don't want his help. They don't want to improve. They don't want to get stronger. It scares him. For the first time in a while, we see Adonis actually being scared for the future. This is a bigger problem than we realize. I can make this like a standard ranting video where we talk about, guys are watching porn and they're fapping and semen retention is the key and stuff. And that stuff is important, but I think we need to take a bigger look at this and realize that this is literally a 10 out of 10 catastrophic issue that no one is discussing. That when men of a nation become weak, when sexuality is complete, especially women's sexualities, this sounds like sexist, but it's the fucking truth, and every nation over the last 2,000 years knows this, but it's sexist in the modern day. But when sexuality, especially women's sexuality, is freed and opened up, and casual sex becomes the norm, and pleasure becomes the aim of everyone, the nation falls. Because here we have the privileged, Western, rich nations that have dominated for a while, and men in these nations have become weak. Almost every single man that you walk past is weak. He watches TV, he drinks alcohol, he eats sugar, he jacks off, he's got a wife but they don't have sex. Almost every man that you come across is weak and useless. The only use that he has is being a mule, like a donkey just sent out to work so that they can just about to afford the same home that they've lived in. Imagine this guy being drafted to war against an intolerant country, against a country of strong men. He would shit himself. We don't realize how big of a problem this is, and it is linked to dating and sex and love, because these weak men are completely sexless, completely deprived from intimacy. They have nothing to fight for. They have nothing to work for. There's no motivation. We as men are motivated by women as much as all the guys on self-improvement and all this bullshit men going their own way, I don't care about women. Shut the f up. Yes, you do. That's the biggest motivation we have, is love, sex, and intimacy. When these weak, useless men know for a fact that that's not what they're going to get in life, that they know that they can't attract women, they give up. So we have millions of men who have given up, who are just like a leech on society, who aren't really that productive. They work the 40 hours that they have to in their job that they don't like, but their work rate is so trash because they're sleep deprived, because they're still hungover. When I make these somewhat scary predictions, I know it sounds a bit like a conspiracy theory, but if you've watched my videos for a while, you know that I'm not that type of guy. You know that I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't talk about bullshit, right? I'm telling you right now that I know with certainty that some other country is going to be dominating within 20 to 30 years, probably less than that. Some random country that we weren't expecting is going to dominate, because those men are strong. Those men are fighting for love and for their family. Those men aren't intoxicated. They don't watch porn. I personally think that this world view is interesting as but for you personally, for you as an individual, you have two choices. You can be weak and useless. You can succumb to the addictions and the pleasures of the modern man. And most young men are doing this, including the men on self-improvement. And still to this day, guys try and convince themselves to play video games, that taking drugs is fine. And of course, you can always give the disclaimer, oh yeah, once in a while it's fine, playing 1 hour video games at the end of the shut the f up, bro. Just acknowledge that it's a bad habit. Just acknowledge that it's a weakness inside of you. I will hold my hand up and admit that weakness in myself. There is a part of me that wants to take drugs and party and girls every now and then. I will say that that's a bad habit. So why can't you? Why can't you, just like weak men, can't you just take some accountability, some responsibility to say yes, I still have some bad habits. Stop trying to cope with this bullshit of oh, but only 1 hour is... Imagine you speaking to a guy who says oh, but I only jack off every day. You'd want to slap that motherfucker Like, stop trying to act as if it's okay. Hold your hand up and say that, yes, there is a part of me that is still weak. That's how you make progress. But still to this day, I see guys like just convince themselves that they're not weak when they actually are, because they say this bull like, oh, but it's only 1 hour of video games after a hard day of work. It's only a bit of weed. It's only a bit of sweeties. Oh, Rick and Morty. Shut the f*** up about Rick and Morty, bro. But it's a really good show, Hamza. You should watch. Shut the f*** up, you f***ing crab. I'm done with that shit, bro. The amount of people who still tell me, oh, but it's a really good show, Hamza. You should still watch Rick and... Shut the f*** up, bro. You should play video games every now and then, Hamza. I don't want to be like them, and neither should you, because the world is telling you that it's okay to be weak. That's exactly like the message that's been pushed off to so many boys in the education system and the society around you, and even by women and even by other men. They're literally telling you that it's okay to be weak. What they don't tell you is that if you succumb to this test, if you fail this test and you do become weak, no one will respect you. Women won't be attracted to you. Women will tell you that it's okay to be weak, but they'll f the strong guys. So take your pick. And now all the weak guys, oh, but I'm not doing things for women. Shut the f up, bro. Yes, you are. Yes, just shut the f up. Like, the amount of guys who are literally so weak and so clueless and so unaware of their motivations that they still can't even admit the fact that they would be motivated by women, love, and the ability to reproduce. That baffles my mind, because we're in this age of like, so many guys are so weak, so unattractive, so unambitious that they know that they can't get girls. They know that they'll pretty much never be able to attract women. So they do this thing of like, oh, I don't care about women. I'm not motivated. I'm not doing it for, I'm not in the gym for women. I'm not dressing nice for women. Shut the f up, bro. Think of what the strong men would have acted like 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Think of the literal warriors. Think of like the pirates. How does that not baffle your mind that there was literally pirates and they didn't have Google Maps? They had like a map. They'd hop on a ship into the ocean, not even knowing like where the they were going. They would have like cannons on the ship to fight off other people. There was like village. There was like, oh, bro, we used to be strong. If you ask those men, if you ask the knight his opinion on women, imagine what he would say. That he would fight other man for the woman that he wants, for his lady. And now we have the weakest men of probably ever saying things like, oh, I'd rather just get the Sexbot 3000 from Mark Zuckerberg. Have some respect for yourself. And along with weakness is uselessness. Most men don't bring anything to the table. Okay, you're weak, you're a little bitch, but at least be useful, at least be handy. There's a quote that says like, if she doesn't find you attractive, at least make her find you handy. At least be like good around the house. Most guys have literally never, me included, right? I'm useless in a sense. Most guys have never done anything like with their hands. They've never done any kind of building. They don't know how to use tools. What skills do you actually have, and what skills do you bring to the table? If we imagine ourselves in literally like a tribe right now, imagine an apocalypse, would I want to keep you in my tribe? What do you bring? Do you know how to hunt? And don't bullshit, right? Do you know how to hunt? Pretty much every guy should say no to this unless Joe Rogan's watching. Do you have brilliant social skills that can unite a tribe together? Are you an excellent speaker? Do you have leadership qualities? Are you loyal? Do you have good values and morals? Most guys have to say no to all of that, and of course you think you're the exception. It's time that you sit around and be introspective. Turn everything off. Just sit and look at your wall. You know when you try to meditate and it's just a bunch of random thoughts that keep coming into your mind, but the thoughts are like, they're somewhat important, they're somewhat like, you know, good ideas and stuff. You know why you get so many of those thoughts? It's because you never even allow your brain to think. So how about you take some time to actually think about this topic, to think, are you weak? And hopefully you can have some humility to answer truthfully. Because if I ask myself that question, am I weak? Yes, of course I am. You look at me from the outside and like you might see someone that you somewhat look up to, and you know, he's the YouTuber and he makes money and he's got the body and stuff. Trust me when I say, bro, I'm still a weak little young man. I'm trying to get stronger and I'm making some good progress, but I've been weak for almost all of my entire life. I've been so feminine for most of my life. It's maybe 1 year, 1.5 years against 22. I can admit that, and because I can admit that, I can make some progress on it. But the amount of guys who are so blinded, who think that they're so great, don't make any progress at all. I'm telling you right now, a man like me, a man who has humility, a man who can actually improve themselves and see his weaknesses, hopefully you're like that, we will overtake those oblivious guys because they're fine where they're at. And I promise you that the things that you want in your life, relationships, freedom, money, I promise you that gets rewarded to the strong men, because we don't operate that differently to how we used to. The strong man who provides value to the tribe, and strong could be mentally, it could be like some skinny little software developer, but that's a strong man in modern society. That's still a guy who's providing immense value. They're the ones getting rewarded. The weak subordinate little weirdo who spends all of his time watching self-improvement videos, there is no value there. Maybe there would be in the future if you keep doing the right things and you build yourself up, but right now you're probably not providing much. And if you're not providing much value to the tribe, well, you're not going to get much back. There's something to think about. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.